Staying on, I guess?
Something is staying on in this car causing this.
Like a light or?
Yes.
Okay.
Could be a light, could be a motor, could be a window, it could be anything. We don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now, I'm just looking at the amperage. It's going down to about 0.47 now, but it's still pretty far from being within spec. So with that being said, I already got the fuse box open up there. So I'm gonna start pulling fuses and figure out what's causing the draw. So start doing that. That will get us close to.
Hey Pete, tell Ryan what's up. He's watching the video.
What's up, Ryan?
So also, yesterday we commented that you guys could ask questions about plugs and coil. So if you had any question about spark plug or coils, you can comment below. And also, if you have any question about what he's working on right now, go ahead and just leave it in the comment section so Pete can get back to you. Just curious, it seems like this job could take a long time. How long does it normally take for something like this?
As long as you find where that thing's coming from. Oh, something turned on. Interesting.
Just for the people,
Yeah, can you tell us what just happened?
Yeah, what?
Some lights just came on. So that went back on.
What are you turning to make the light turn on?
I didn't do anything. I was just looking at that and make sure I could see it. So now we're back on what we need to look for. We're down to 0.9 amps, so I'm gonna start pulling fuses now and see.
What kind of tool is that you got in your hands?
Just some pliers.
Just some pliers, okay.
I usually just go by roll, and
That makes sense, right? So he's not get confused that way.
you do not want to pull all the fuses out.
Be a nightmare, I'm pretty sure.
Well, most of the time you kind of guesstimate where they go, pull them all out. You never get them back in the same spot.
Got you.
But there's quite a few of them in this thing to go through. So it's definitely a fun little journey. And some cars will have like 3 or 4 different fuse boxes. So it might not even be in this one that you're looking for.
Is that more for modern cars? Like would an older car typically only have one fuse box and maybe
I've seen some older cars that will have one on the inside, one on the outside.
Can you call out what you're looking for just one more time?
I am looking for that amperage to go away when I start pulling these fuses.
So we're looking for the amperage to go to 0.
Pretty close to 0.
What is it hitting now?
I'm up to 0.8. So no change there. Nothing there.
Ryan's asking, is there any way to determine if there's a draw on the battery before it gets to this point?
Yeah, I mean the car just dies overnight. That's how you really tell. Your kid is playing with your light switches. They leave them on, then you don't know about it. The next day you go crank it, it just won't start.
So it sounds like a situation where most people call you and be like, "Hey, my battery's dead," and not realize that it's a situation.
Or they call you and be like, "I had to jump start this thing, and it take forever to jump it because the battery is fully depleted." So nothing.
So other than bringing it in, you would not be able to know the difference between. Oh, I guess.
I mean, you could check the obvious, your lights being on or something like that. So.
Okay.
Some older cars, they don't have automatic headlights. You know, you can leave those on overnight. Or the running lights. As I pull these fuses out, I also run my finger over them, see how hot they are. If they're hot, that indicates, hey, something's going through here too.
Okay, Ryan has another question. He's asking, so as my battery weakens due to the draw, will my car show any symptoms? Lights dimming, windows rolling up and down slower, etc.?
If there's a big enough draw, it will cause the car to crank very slow or not crank at all. So in most cases, it'll be something like, you know, you will have to get it jumped off or put a battery in the car. So there's no warnings of this stuff. It just happens.
Good question, Ryan. Thank you.
I'm just curious, how does a motor get stuck in a on position anyway?
The inside the motor could be corroded, and then they have a shortage on the inside.
Okay.
Or, you know, something came apart on the inside and shorted. That's what we call short the power. But that's very rare though.
Ryan said thank you.
I have seen cigarette lighters that get stuck and cause the same thing.
Just curious, what row are you on now?
I'm finishing up with the fuses. Now I'm pulling all the relays.
You pulling the relays now? Let me see. Just so people know what the difference. Can you show us the relay?
You have a control side and then the low side. So.
Okay.
But that's still not the issue. got a whole 2 rows of these mini fuses to go through.
Ooh, Ryan has another question. What do you recommend I do if I want to check the amps of my battery to make sure it had the correct amount of power? Does it require special tools, or is there a more DIY test I can run?
If you take it to most service centers or most shops, they're likely to have a battery tester. They'll test the battery and tell you what conditions in, how much, cold cranking amps it's got, and, does it need to be replaced, or is it good, or does it need to be recharged? So a typical battery, they last about 2 years from what I've seen, and usually when you transition from like cold to hot, so your summer ends and then winter's coming up, it's starting getting a little cold, that's when these things crap out. And also in the wintertime, it's about to get summer, so it's about to get hot, they also die during that period of time. So you will see a lot of alternator and battery replacement during these 2 seasons.
Interesting. So with the DIY way, you say to go to a car specialist to have them check it, and is that a service is that a free service they offer, or is that a charge?
Most of the time that will be a free service, because if you go to most auto parts stores, they will run a battery test on the car for free, just to sell you a battery. But for the most part, yeah, all of it should be free for a battery test. But for something like this is totally different, because this is something that we have to go in and diagnose and find out exactly where it's coming from.
So if I were to go to Marietta Imports,
yeah,
would that be a service you would offer?
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan has another follow-up question. How do I know how many cold cranking amps my car is supposed to have?
That will be labeled on the battery. If you go by the battery, it will have a CCA rating, which this car, I looked at it earlier, it should be on it. Right here. So CCA stands for cold cranking amps. This is rated at 850 at 0 degrees. So it should put out 850 cold cranking amps on the first attempt, but sometimes they put out a lot more than what the battery says when the battery's still new. And some of the European cars, when you replace the battery, you don't just replace it, you have to register it with a scan tool. So the car knows that it has a new battery to treat it different, versus a battery that's been in the car for about 2 years is not holding its charge as well. So on the European car, they will command the alternator to work a little bit harder to keep up with the old battery. So on those cars, when you put in a new battery, make sure you get it registered. If not, that new battery is going to die within months from it being overcharged, because the car doesn't know you had a new battery put in. It just knows that, hey, that one was going out, so it's going to keep doing the same thing, trying to overcharge it.
Why is the double standard? Like, why in America we don't have that tech, and maybe in Europe it does? Is there like a reason, or
no? I mean that's more on your high-end vehicles.
Oh, okay.
So your BMW, Mercedes, and Audi, they all should have something like that, and also those cars will have a thing called the start limit. So let's say your kids left the lights on your Mercedes, the rear dome light. They left that on overnight. The car's computer will read the battery voltage saying that, hey, something is staying on. But it will command that battery not to put out any more voltage to anything. So the next time you hop in the car, it starts.
It sounds good, man.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's real impressive.
On some of the European cars, they have that feature where it will do that for you. But I mean, this is a work van, so it shouldn't be that complicated. It don't have all that feature in it. So
What year did that start? Is that recent, or it's been for a while?
it's been around since the early 2000s.
Okay.
From what I know with BMW, they have BSDs on the batteries for a while. So the car actually monitors the battery. It tells you when the battery is about dying and give you warning and stuff.
Okay.
That's about it. Yeah.
Ryan has one last question. If I purchase a battery and it comes with a warranty, would it be covered regardless of why it died? Like, if it dies because I have a draw, not because the battery is bad, will they still cover my replacement?
Well, for a battery to be covered under warranty, most of the times they will have to test it at the facility that you bought it from. So what they do is they hook up a machine that tests this thing. And then at that point, the machine determines does the battery needs recharging or replacement. So there's two different ways it could go. If the battery, there's like multiple cells in this thing. If one of the cells is shorted out, the diagnostic machine will know, hey, the cell in this thing is shorted out. You cannot recharge this battery. So at that point, that will be a warranty issue. Yes, they will replace it. But at the same time, if it's just your car drawing down the battery, that tester will tell you recharge the battery, not necessary to replace it. So it all depends on, how that goes.
So just making sure I'm clear on what you're saying. The battery could technically be fine. It just be something that's drawn down on the car. So there's no reason for them to replace the battery because the battery's fine. The problem is somewhere else in the car.
Yeah, but once it's drained so many times, it could damage the battery cells. At that point, then they could say, hey, most parts store wouldn't know that you have a draw. They would just say, hey, the battery's bad, I'm going to replace it.
But the issue being, okay, I'm going to drive my car and you're going to end up having the same issue all over again.
Yes.
Okay. And then another point you brought up, so there's different cells. So a battery could only charge to like 80% capacity and still be good, technically. Is that true or no?
Well, every battery's 80% is different.
Oh, okay.
So that's why you have a tester that, let me go grab one. I have one here.
Great question, Ryan. Thank you for asking.
See, the tester will hook up every part store that sells batteries should have something like this.
The test you're running right now is what I would expect from AutoZone or Advanced Auto Parts or O'Reilly. Something similar? Okay.
This will hook up and it tells you, hey, the voltage is at 12.5.
Hold on, let me get a little bit closer just so they can see it. Alright. So, I don't know if you guys can see it because it'll reflect. Okay, yeah, right there. It's pretty good.
So battery location out of vehicle or in vehicle.
Okay.
Well, for testing purposes, we're going to go with out of vehicle. And then standard. They'll tell you input the co-cranking amps, which just has 850. And then now it's testing. And if you can see here, hang on, it says good battery. Now it's going to print the result of the test.
Oh, wow.
If you look right there, the rating is at 850 CCA. Mm-hmm. The battery actually has 1,115 CCA. So, yeah.
Pretty cool, man.
Yep.
It's a great tool.
So if my car had a draw, what steps would I take to find out where the draw is coming from?
you need to take it to the shop. This is too complicated for most DIYers. This is not something that you attempt at the house. Like I said, this one we're going pretty far into it, so let's see where we at on this. Yeah, still there. So this one we might have to move to the inside and see what else is going on, because I don't think any of these out here change anything. I haven't finished this roll yet, so let's see.
Corey Osner is watching. Pete, say hello.
Hi.
So what exactly are you doing right now?
I am looking at the amperage. This changed something. I was at 0.9, but once I pull this, I'm down to 0.4.
So we pull the fuses while the amp's on to see which fuse is still getting power?
Yeah. So, fuse number 75 on this one. It's a circuit that I need to look into later. I have to pull some wiring diagrams, see what this fuse powers up, and then we'll go from there. See any other ones.
So the amp should be at 0 when the car's off, right?
No, to keep the memory on the PCM on most vehicles, it'll draw anywhere from 0.07 to 0.05 at the most. I mean, 0.05 to 0.07 at most, while the car is fully off and asleep.
Gotcha. So even with the car completely off, there's still a little bit of power being drawn to keep like my radio stations and seat position and everything else. Gotcha.
Correct. Like, that's why like a lot of cars won't pass emissions after you disconnect the battery, because they couldn't keep the, you know, the memories of the monitors of the test it did. So you'll see that a lot.
So the ECM will have to
You have to drive it. It has to run through its testing procedures and stuff like that again to get it to the readiness status again on most cars.
That's like 50 miles, maybe?
Every car is different. You go anywhere from 20 to 60.
20 to 60, okay. So if you plan on getting your car tested,
If you plan on getting emissions, you do not want to replace that battery within, you know, within any, let's say you want it done this week, you do not want your battery replaced yet. I mean, even every time the car dies, you know, the battery resets. So. Yeah, I mean, this car, we're going to have to look into fuse 75. That definitely changed something. So, we're going to look into that. And then, meantime, I might look for some more fuse box that might be on the interior of the car. You guys can see there's a whole nother roll of this stuff down here. Take a look in there. Go inwards. So this is another area that I will start checking.
So basically, you're just gonna do the same thing you just did in the front of the car, correct?
Yeah.
Just pulling each one.
Yeah. But this one, it looks like all the power comes from this main connector. I just disconnected it, so I'm gonna see did that go away or did it stay? It's still there, so we know that's not it.
Turn your volume down. Right. Flip your camera. Bottom left.
And also, I just found two wires being cut down there. There's two wires down here that's been cut, so I don't know if that has anything to do with that or no.
When you say cut, you mean like they sliced it and put electrical tape on it, or like it looks like something
See,
accidentally
people
got cut?
that have joined since
It
I
looks
started
like
doing that watch
somebody
party.
cut the
Yeah.
wires on this
But I think during the watch party, you can only do it
Turn your
once.
camera
on
on.
this e-brake switch.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, I see what's going on. It's because it's looking at you. Look at this feed. It assumes you're not here.
Oh, gotcha.
So don't.
So don't do that.
Yeah.
It brought a lot of people though.
Unless you go back in there and do it. Because it's like you're watching
So
the
what
video.
should I say? Just talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very interesting.
We just had 9 people watch that little briefing.
But you can see the two wires here that's been cut, so I'm gonna have to look in that circuit some more. It's right by the emergency brake pedal. That's up on the left here. So somebody cut the wiring on that for a reason. They're not just broken off. So we're gonna have to do some research on that part of it, and the other fuse out there. So
All right.
Cool.
So I think this probably would be a good stopping point because it looks like you're gonna be doing a couple more hours of research. Well, at least.
yes, yes. I mean, this is not a short repair that you could do within minutes. You know. So we're gonna wrap up the video for today, and then we could check back tomorrow, see what else is going on in the shop. Thanks for watching.